Paul Adams. Well, joining us now is Ravi Singh, the CEO and founder of the international non-profit aid and relief organisation Khalsa Aid. Ravi, thank you very much for joining us. What are you concentrating on in terms of the aid you're trying to provide for India?
Well, it's a very, very difficult situation, a very fluid situation. Our teams in India, we already supplied some of these oxygen concentrators, and we've been sourcing much more aid. Not just oxygen, but also other supplies like emergency meals and maybe support for the people who are on the roads, on the streets, who can't get admittance to the hospital. Right now, from the UK, we've released further funding. We've ordered another 200 oxygen concentrated within India. They should be with us in the next day or two. We are also looking at importing some of these oxygen concentrators from abroad too. Our teams in the UK have been working very hard for the last 24 hours, trying to identify suppliers who can basically work with us to transport by air freight as a matter of urgency. We've got other NGOs who are connected with us through our long-term friendships, and they are doing a fantastic job by supplying oxygen to individuals, to citizens. The worst part of that is that we can't supply cylinders. The oxygen cylinders are like gold dust at the moment. So the NGOs are supplying oxygen only to those who have cylinders, and cylinders are being sold up to 10 times its original value in the black market. There's an absolute sheer desperation from relatives, family, friends of those who are really struggling with this COVID strain, who are finding it very difficult to breathe. I've had today inboxes from my emails, my social media, text messages. I'm getting calls every few minutes from people from around the world who are relatives in India. And it's the same requests. Oxygen, please provide us support for our relatives who can't breathe. I'm getting real-time calls of people sitting with their relatives who are basically waiting them to die because there's no oxygen. And they're crying on the phone, and all I can do is say, look, we will do our best. So we're trying to coordinate with all individuals. We've got teams in Mumbai and people in Bangalore calling us with the same request. It seems like absolute lack of coordination, I think, from the authorities. But now, the time now is to coordinate supplies and save lives. And I'm sure there will be investigation later on to how this all happened. It is very, very heartbreaking. We feel helpless also because we have the funding to do more. Just bringing in the supplies is a big, big issue, especially within India, as a black market also has really exploded with a lot of aid or materials which may not even be genuine because people are desperate. We can't just throw funds and buy something from unscrupulous traders, etc. So it's a desperate situation, terrifying situation. NGOs like us who have been working on the front line in war zones, etc., for the last 2 decades. I've never seen anything like this, especially in a country that's moving towards such a fast pace towards digital age, that there's a huge lack of infrastructure for COVID, which I think was expected. This was expected by many, many people. There were warnings: do not hold large gatherings, cancel all political rallies from all parties and oppositions. Wasn't listened to. Only about 2-3 weeks ago, there were still huge rallies, no mask, no practicing, and here we are today. It's heartbreaking, if you look at my phone.
Ravi, it must be. I mean, all those people asking you individually for help, and all across the country, particularly in Delhi, as we've seen, people absolutely desperate. Just briefly, how much harder is it doing your job with the travel restrictions that are in place?
It's very, very hard because we can't really send experienced people from here, but we have very good teams, though, within India. What we also found ourselves, I think, within India, there needs to be, even now, there needs to be more practice guidelines followed on COVID, especially looking at borders with states with Delhi to make sure that it doesn't go into the countryside. So our fears are now, we're working also towards Delhi and other states, and also in our own state, Punjab, where we come from in Punjab, that this could now, from the cities, hit rural areas. So I put a message out that we will even work with any government, any other NGOs, just to prepare now if it hits other cities and rural areas. So it is very, very difficult. It's you know what's needed, you know what we've done. We just can't do it. And seeing all those bodies in the streets, all those individuals crying of their loved ones, there's not even dignity in death. It's just not even room to cremate people. It's beyond. It's a nightmare beyond nightmares. It's like living hell. You can't imagine. I mean, the call I had today with a very strong-willed young lady who's an activist who absolutely broken down now because her father is really ill. She can't get treatment. He's dying of lack of oxygen, and I don't know how long it's going to last. This is now a real-life situation. This is happening all over India, especially in Delhi.
Ravi Singh.
I don't know. We need the world to speed it up, cut any red tape, just get wherever they can, put all politics aside, get the aid to India, save people, save lives, and we can have a little investigation afterwards, or big investigation, to this huge failure and a blunder by the government. But now, save lives.
Ravi Singh from Khalsa Aid, thank you so much for joining us.
Yep.